I think we're in, guys. We're in. You man, it's been a while. But we're back. We're back again. Hey, I know you guys missed us, but some things happen, innit? Some things happen, but we're back again. So you man know the usuals: like, comment, subscribe, and share with your people. We're back in the building again. How are you guys? Carl, Dan, Ore, Denzel, how are you? Everybody good? Blessed?
Mm-hmm.
Everything good.
Yeah, could be better. Could be better after yesterday.
It could be better. Let's get straight into it now. Manchester derby. You know what? I don't even care about the game. It's about Haaland, isn't it? It's about Haaland. Let's be real, innit? We're talking about Haaland. We'll cook United, innit? There's not much to cook because you're not that good anyway. But Haaland, I have a confession. Obviously, you man know I love technical players, and Haaland doesn't pass the eye test, but usually Haaland doesn't pass the eye test. Let's be honest. Come on, let's be real.
I was going to get into this. Sorry, I'll let you land.
I'll let you land too.
Yeah, I was going to get into this one.
He does pass the eye test, but let's get to it.
He does.
He passes the eye test.
He does.
Let's be honest, Josh. Your eye test is just dribbling.
Exactly,
no.
bro. If you look at the way this guy finishes the ball, this guy's movement, everything, he passes the eye test, man.
Wait, are you being serious? We're saying Haaland passes the eye test
in every eye test, bro.
Yeah. In every almost, but I can't lie to you, man. Like he does, bro. I'm like the number one Haaland hater, man. Like the eye test.
I wasn't familiar with the game.
The eye test is really just the spectrum that like everybody has their own kind of way. Like for instance, like you're saying someone like is scoring a lot of goals, who strikes the ball like a machine, and you're telling me that does not pass the eye test. Like
so, wait. This doesn't make sense, bro.
Yeah.
We watch Man City. We see players like Phil Foden, Bernardo Silva, De Bruyne, Gundogan. These are technical players. They pass the eye test, and you're telling me Haaland passes the eye test.
Yeah, but you're not like
no. How can you say Haaland passes the eye test?
You're not deep in than just what you do on the ball, and his strengths off the ball are crazy. His movement, his crazy.
When you say like KDB passes the eye test, when you say for like you're saying they pass the eye test based on like their technical players, so like they can control the ball well.
That's the eye test.
They can control the ball well. They can pass the ball well. They can shoot. They have that technical level. Are you telling me Haaland cannot pass the ball and strike the ball to an insane technical? Like what did we just watch yesterday? Nah.
Some of the goals he's scoring, and you're telling me, like, do you not see the goal against
Dortmund? You're looking at it.
No, I'm not saying.
I'm not disputing.
I'm saying the technique required for them goals, like the goal against Dortmund, the ball's coming over his shoulder, and he uses the outside of his left foot to volley it at the other direction.
I'm not disputing his goal scoring ability. Oh wait, am I lagging?
No, you're
good. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm not disputing his goal scoring ability. Like at the end of the day, the guy's a striker, and scoring goals is such.
So why do you want him to dribble past the whole team?
No.
This guy wants him to be doing rainbow flicks on the pitch. He's there to score goals. Even look, Josh. Even aesthetically, like he's finishing the way, like his pace on the ball, like like everything about him. When you watch him, he's entertaining. Like, come on, bro. He passes.
The way you talk about him, Josh, is the way it's like you're describing Nunes.
Even if you're taking like the goals and like striking that ball out of it, like especially in City, which is something like I'm sure Pep has really improved in his game. Like, have you seen how he returns the ball? Like when like players play 1-2 with him. Like when I saw like Foden, De Bruyne a couple times, how he like leans back and how he returns the ball so quickly. Are you telling me that's not like technical ability to like, or when the pass to Foden where De Bruyne played him in and everybody's thinking, oh, like what's Haaland going to do here? This is usually not his, and he plays a perfect ball right to Foden. That was genuinely a perfect ball. There was like nothing wrong with like to the exact T, puts it on a play for Foden who scores. Like that is insane. Like I don't know. You've kind of like...
Haaland's not insane technical ability. Harry Kane is another example of a good technical player. I wouldn't even say Harry Kane's like incredible technically, but Harry Kane is technically a much better footballer than Haaland. Like,
but that doesn't mean he doesn't
even
pass the eye
even
test,
if you see the way Harry Kane strikes a ball, he can strike it right in the corner. Harry Kane has
Bro,
a better
Haaland can do
Haaland
that.
can do that as well.
You can't do it. Harry Kane can
Haaland's
do it
shooting
left
is
and
insane.
right.
Even the
I
ball
like
from
JJ
De
Kane.
Bruyne, the goal they scored against us is nuts.
I'll admit Kane is a better ball striker, but Haaland can strike a ball very cleanly.
Bro,
But I think Haaland is capable of more types of finishes than Kane is.
That's the thing. I agree with you. Haaland's finishing ability is nuts. No one can dispute that. And someone says, shout out Erhan, he's saying his footballing intelligence and his movement is not entertaining, but is incredible. Like, you cannot dispute.
Bro, it is entertaining.
I can't like Josh. I can't like Josh.
I
can't like Josh. You're a bit biased, you know, because like,
of course, I love technical ability.
Especially
especially
when I used to have the discussion of Lewandowski and Harry Kane, and in many ways, especially what Lewandowski was doing at Bayern is very similar to what Haaland is doing.
I agree with that, but Lewandowski's proven
you regarded Lewandowski as the best striker in the world.
Did Lewandowski pass the eye test?
So Lewandowski?
He's a much better technician than Haaland.
But does he pass the eye test? Does Lewandowski pass the eye test?
Yeah, I'll say he does. He does.
Yeah, so Haaland definitely does.
So
Haaland definitely does.
No. Let's not pretend. Lewandowski is a much better footballer than Haaland. Haaland is not.
Says who?
No. What if you watch Haaland? Lewandowski.
Bro, what are you doing here? Like this guy is done so well this season that we have to debate stuff like this when he passes the eye test a lot. This guy has come in and revolutionized Manchester City. This guy has 14 goals in how many appearances? He has double the amount of goals as the next person, which is Harry Kane. Like, this guy is a monster. He's insane. And he's doing what he's brought in to do. Like, we have to give him his flowers, man. He's absolutely beast.
Sometimes that's what I say about goal scoring at times. It kind of
elevates.
Because you're saying this guy's revolutionizing Man City. When KDB is doing the same exact balls into the box that he did for Sterling. But he's got a potent finisher now in Haaland that's maximizing this finisher.
George, you have to have a balance in your spectrum. Like, you're too tilted to one side. Like, at the end of the day, the game was created so people can score goals to help their team win. Like,
I'm like, confused.
There's no way.
You're not understanding though. I'm not even disputing the goal scoring side. I'm just saying, as a technical footballer, Haaland is not a great footballer. He's not. His ball control. Yeah.
Josh,
what are you saying, Carl?
Yeah. Now the thing is, I think where you believe that he's not a great footballer is because the way he plays football and the directness and the roboticness that he has. We've never seen anything like it before to compare it to, which means he's so unorthodox that he's exceptional. Like, you can't compare him to any striker we've seen before because he's built, even like the way he runs, the way he dribbles the ball. We haven't seen anything like that in the Prem. So I think it's because we don't have anything to compare it to is why you might think he doesn't pass the eye test, but really he's his own build, you know, like you can't really compare him to the norm because he's a pass is the norm. The average striker, he's levels ahead of. So that's why I think that's why you're thinking he doesn't pass the eye test, but really he does in every aspect, including passing, dribbling, everything. He's just unorthodox. Yeah, he's just unorthodox. He's very direct. He's very direct dribbling. He's very fast, you know.
Bro, if he's dribbling, Josh. If Haaland's dribbling at you like 80 miles per hour,
he's very direct.
Let's be real here, like, bro.
He's not a good dribbler. Like, we're just pretending. Obviously, like,
he wasn't a good dribbler. He wouldn't be like
his movement in the box.
He's a decent dribbler. You can't rub out his dribbling.
Not a decent dribbler.
If you can't be
not a bad dribbler.
Exactly. You acting like
I think we're conflating it. Like, I'm not disputing his goal scoring. Like, his goal scoring is good, but the technical side of it, there's a reason why he doesn't take that many touches in the box or in general in the play because he's not. That's not his game. He's not
taking hella touches in the box anyway.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, what you want him to drop deep onto the halfway line to show you that he's got great like passing.
No, because he knows his strength. He knows his. No, part of it is that he also knows his strengths and weaknesses. He knows he's not a ball to feet sort of player. There's a reason Man City always like their ball to feet players.
The way he's playing now, he's got 14 goals. The way he's playing, he's like at the maximum kind of level for a striker in terms of goal scoring. And that's all Man City need from him. So if he tries to adapt his game to come short and start playing passes and try flicking around the corner and doing all this like he's, I don't know, Harry Kane or Firmino or something, then it could minimize the goal scoring because he's not in the box to be poaching and whatnot. So I don't understand really why he would do that. Like, why does he need to show you?
I'm not saying he needs to do it. I'm just saying this is what he is. I saw him at Dortmund. I've seen this guy. He's not a technical player. He's a great goal scorer. He's a poacher.
If you look at over like a very, very large spectrum, like the players who you would define as technically gifted and stuff, you're looking at midfielders, you're looking at wingers, and there's a reason that is. If you look at a very long spectrum and you think of very, very technically gifted strikers, people would obviously mention like maybe R9, Henry, Suarez, but it's a very limited, like you can't like go into like, obviously people call all strikers and stuff, but like especially in recent time, like in comparison to what we have now in terms of like the wingers, midfielders, in terms of your analogy, like we don't have a lot of strikers now that you could say like, and that's because like, again, the game is just like tilting. And like, you can't tell me like, you can't compare like, even as you say Kane is, do you think Kane passes the eye test?
He's a good technician, though. He's a good technician.
Yeah, but like Kane is one of, so Kane is one of the best. Aguero, do you think Aguero passed the eye test?
Yeah, Aguero. Young Aguero. That guy was...
Young Aguero, but Aguero in City for most of his time. Do you really think pass?
As he got more injury prone, he became more of a poacher. But the younger version of him was that guy was dangerous.
So if you're a poacher, you can't pass the eye test.
No, you can be technically. I'm looking at your fundamental ability. Haaland's fundamental ability, aside from his goal scoring, is low.
How so? This guy got 2 assists as well.
Yeah, the passes were nice passes.
Bro. You're basically like you're basically saying he needs to put himself in a situation where he can prove to you that he passes.
I don't need him to prove. I don't need him to. Bro. I don't give two about ifs. I'm saying what he does. I've seen him at Dortmund. I've seen him at Man City now. He's never been a technician. His game is not based on that.
He's not going to change the scenario in which he's needed him. He's not going to change his job role. He's not going to change the requirements of a coach just so he can prove to Josh that he passes.
I'm not. You're just making this up. I'm not talking about him having to do roles. With football, you just need to watch certain player traits because it always comes about how players like to be played. Of course, what the manager expects is what they do most of it, but they'll still bring forth what they are naturally used to, their innate settings, if you get what I'm saying. Haaland's innate settings is naturally just being a goal scorer. But even when he's on the ball, he doesn't look as comfortable, as graceful as other players. Because that's just not his game. That's what he's not.
So it's just aesthetics then. So it's just he doesn't look that comfortable.
No, but he's just generally not a technically gifted player.
But
I'm sorry not to push it onto you, but you know that because you've seen technically gifted players. You've seen a Benzema.
But you're comparing.
Haaland is not where. No,
exactly. Yeah, it's like Ori and Denzel are saying. You're comparing a striker who's. You even said yourself a poacher to someone like Iniesta. Like, why are you comparing a midfielder's technical ability?
I just use Benzema. Benzema is a striker. Benzema is teched off as hell. Haaland can't compare to that.
And how many other strikers like that are teched off?
But
there's not many. There's not many. I agree.
Across his career, Haaland is going to double, if not almost triple, the amount of goals that Benzema is going to have in his career.
But where did I try and say he wasn't a great goal scorer? I already admit this guy's a phenom goal scorer. I just said he's not a great footballer.
So at the end of the day, like you're saying, like there needs to, the reason why Benzema shows himself to be more technically gifted than Haaland is because he does things in the game that, to you proves that. For instance, dropping deep, for instance, spreading the long ball diagonally, stuff like that. Like, but Haaland in his game doesn't do that and doesn't need to do that. I don't know.
He doesn't need to do that because he can't do that. That's the point. He knows his strengths and weaknesses.
That's a false equivalency, bro.
No,
I don't really think so.
So you can tell Haaland knows his strengths and weaknesses. He knows that he's a fantastic goal scorer. He's got incredible poaching instincts. When it comes to on the ball, that's not his skill set.
I can agree with that. I can agree with that. He knows that. I can agree he knows. Obviously, but that's the reason why Man City is such a good team, and he doesn't have to be able to do the ball playing ability. Like KDB, as you saw the other day, why would Haaland be dropping back when KDB can spot him from 40, 50 yards out and to precision? So Haaland just roaming in the box. So yeah, at the moment he hasn't been tested, but when we get to the Champions League, who knows? We might have to see Haaland doing a bit more than he has to do right now. At the end of the day, everyone was saying Premier League is the best league in the world, but now he's making it look like a farmers league, and he's not even trying. So that's the real question. Someone asked.
Let's talk about him a bit more. So obviously, yeah, like we were saying, is he gonna obliterate the goal scoring record?
Yes.
Yeah.
If he stays fit.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the big if. That's the big if. Yeah.
I don't believe he will, but I think I don't think he will stay fit, but I think he'll destroy the goal record.
I think he has a better opportunity to stay fit than before.
I mean, it just depends on how long he's out for. But like Dortmund had like super like terrible physiotherapists in comparison. Like they always I think right now they have a lot of players injured as well. Like City like invest loads into like their medical team, obviously. Like they have so much money. So don't really think although he does require like a lot of power and pace. And usually like the recurring theme, especially for like Caucasian players.
Yeah, white PMP never lost.
They can't like really sustain that.
That's true.
But like City do have a way better medical like facility than team. So like I do think he'll be fine. Like most of it, yeah. Like worst case he misses a couple games, but I don't think that's going to like derail him.
Yeah.
And the thing we're forgetting though, he gets a break.
That's the thing. That's the thing.
He's getting a break.
Yeah, I do believe Pep will. He won't rest him as much as people think. You know, I do believe that Pep will want to break all the records, and himself, he'd want to go for
especially the fact that he has a break.
Exactly.
So, like he's going to play a lot of games, really,
and he's very young as well, so he has the energy.
Full 90 and stuff like that. Yeah,
he has the energy at his age right now to play. As he still the Man United game, didn't even take him off. I thought
he was going to. That surprised me.
Yeah.
I don't know. With there's a big possibility that he'll break it, but I think we got to factor in that he's in a great patch right now. Not saying that he can't sustain it, but to the level that he's currently doing that, you know, obviously you can tell defenders absolutely wet their pants when they see him. He's got the big fear factor, but I do think, I mean, it's Man City though. You can't really stop once KDB gets into that zone. You can't really stop him, and the position.
He's 19 goals away from the record. And he has
14 already.
And he has 30 games left. So 19 goals in 30 games. Like for any other striker, it seems like, but for what he's doing, man, 19 in 30 looks like it's probably even about more like if he plays the whole 38 games, it's more about like how early he even breaks the record, like because we can be told to watch or like something crazy like that. But yeah, it's kind of exciting. I can't lie, like you know,
for real.
Like, because this is basically like history. Like, we've reached a point where, like, I used to think 32 goals, like, and 33 was peak footballer. Like, it was so hard to break and stuff like that. I mean, he still hasn't broken it yet, so there's that. But like, with the way it's looking, it looks like football is really a shift in football in terms of like what we thought was like the peak. Like, yeah, it's really crazy.
And my thing as well, when we talk about trajectory, like what could happen potentially in the next 5 years if he stays unfit is ridiculous to even think. And
the thing is that I just wonder if he stays in City. That's the thing.
This is the thing. And the question you have to ask is Haaland's run so far a fluke? 100% no. 100% not a fluke at all. Meaning that are Man City playing at their best right now? Absolutely nowhere near playing at their best right now. These are the scary, as Denzel said, scary times. Like, these are the questions you have to be asking. They're not playing at their best. Haaland has a lot to learn as well. As you say, he's not even the fully developed right now. He's got a long way to learn. So what could happen over the next 5 years? Potentially could be, as I say, it could be the best we've ever seen, really. But obviously that's a bit...
Sorry to cut you off. Leicester 3-0 up against Forest.
What's happening?
Leicester 3-0 up against Forest.
Oh, Rodgers lives another day.
He scored 3 in 10 minutes.
Carl, you said something interesting about Haaland and his progression and being the best ever. Hey, Denzel, what about if he comes after your boy?
Relax. Okay, let me get.
Wait, which one?
He's talking about CR7, but let's not. Okay, let's put that on the show for a bit. I said in the group. I'm pretty sure. I said in the group chat that he's gonna probably be the best. He's probably, if he carries on like this, he's gonna finish his career as the greatest Premier League striker.
I like that. Yeah, striker.
I said it from time. I think that is
not player for you.
player.
There's a reason why no one considers Shearer the best player of Premier League history.
Exactly.
I'm saying,
people consider Shearer the best striker of Premier League history.
Yeah, you're best striker, but not best player.
No, I don't even think. I don't consider Shearer the best striker in Premier League history.
Did Henry play left back?
No, but some people put him
Henry's
up
there. A lot of people.
I don't think Henry. When they think striker, I don't think this. Do you think?
No, but
striker.
Like some people just move Henry to the left wing to accommodate other strikers, man. And I don't think they should.
But that's what I'm saying with the footballing thing.
Do you think he's the greatest striker, Henry?
In the Premier League, Henry
was
so far, yeah. So
he's rated higher than Shaq. That's the same thing.
He's the greatest player in Premier League history, in my opinion.
That's
what I'm saying. Henry is seen as the greatest player, but you could argue Shearer and Haaland, if he continues, might be the greatest striker. But I don't think Haaland will ever be considered the best player.
I disagree, man. I don't think you can separate it like that. I think Henry was a striker, a great striker.
I don't.
That's
like
I know, man.
I think just because he had more to his game, that shouldn't detract away from him, innit?
I don't think of the strikers. People think of him as a forward, but when you think pure strikers, like just pure striker, like if you could build a perfect striker.
There was Henry kind of just like, because he kind of revolutionized what it meant to be a striker. Like at that point, it was kind of just like target man.
It was just poachers and target man.
Fox in the box, all of that. But like he showed that
that was R9 that did that.
He showed that there was more
in
to
England,
like a striker. I don't know. I think Henry is the best player, best striker, in my opinion.
No, I disagree, but
who do you think is the best?
Opinions. The best what?
Striker in Premier League history.
Striker. When I think of, I don't know. It's a tough one.
Because the only options that really come to mind are.
Oh no, you said I thought you were talking about player. Striker, yeah, I'll probably say yeah. Henry, maybe.
Who's your best player, Ronaldo?
Yeah, obviously. I feel like that's the best I've seen personally. But strikers, I think the top three is obviously Henry. In fact, I'll just go with the top two. I'll say Henry and Kane, and maybe Rooney as well. But Rooney I don't think of Rooney as a striker. Like I don't know what it is about Rooney, but I don't think of him as like.
Aguero is not your top three.
Oh damn!
Aguero's my number one.
Aguero's my number one actually.
Van Persie's he's one that doesn't really get mentioned.
Yeah, I have Van Persie over Kane.
Aguero's my number one Premier striker. I can't lie. That guy is insane. I hate his club, but insane for me. Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. From what I saw, it's actually Suarez for me.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
A lot of people say that now.
In my year, like basically, like obviously, I didn't like see like Henry and stuff. So like for my it was Suarez. I thought he was a beast. Kane is really good too. Aguero.
Yeah, Kane's in the conversation, but he needs to win. Oh yeah, we'll talk about individual performances. Yeah, Kane's there, but I think the shadow of him not winning the Prem will always haunt him.
Yeah, it would always. It would always haunt him. Yeah.
You know, an interesting point actually is you see when Ronaldo, you see how he's on the bench for United at Man City. Do you know what he's thinking? He was thinking this could be me, you know, because the thing is, Man City, he's thinking this could be me having all these poaching balls, as you say. If he's that great a player, he'd be doing the same.
Think about it though. Realistically, he's getting benched by Haaland. If he went to Man City, he would get benched by Haaland. Everyone, I think, pretty much.
Everyone
in the world is getting benched by Haaland.
Isn't that? Would they even? Firstly, like. City would never have signed Ronaldo. I'm very sure about that. And the thing is that, like, even if they did, would they have signed? If they did sign him last season, would they have signed Haaland this season?
I still think yes. I still think
so.
When you've got a talent of that level,
because they're thinking, I think so.
Then if that's the case, then he's getting benched by Haaland. So same position.
Yeah, exactly. He'll be on the bench either way.
I don't know, man. I think it's difficult because I agree with you. I don't think he would have gone to City, but at the same time, I can't see him happily sitting on the bench at Man City.
He wouldn't be happy on the bench wherever he is.
To Rashford, so
Yeah, but I think the situation's a little bit different.
But that's based on the system and like preseason, him not training. There's so many variables to him not starting. But if we're being honest, he's not. He doesn't make Man United. In terms of the future, we have to, as United fans, concede that looking forward. He doesn't start for the team because if he doesn't fit Ten Hag's system, like let's just be honest.
I don't know about that. You can always.
You think he fits the system?
Vibes.
You think Josh? You think he fits the system?
For someone like Ronaldo, obviously now he's not that good, but in general,
I don't think it's necessarily not that good. Cause like he's still good. It's just that he doesn't fit our system.
Why are you guys? Why? Like, I get the whole like, but all in all, very poor signing. I can't lie.
I don't think it's a poor sign. It should have been like a season-long loan.
I know the vibes. Like nothing can replace the vibes of him. I get that, but like the investments, the money, like his wages, everything, like it's just all in all, it just seems like a very pointless and like useless signing because you guys haven't signed a striker too as well in 2 seasons. And if you didn't sign Ronaldo last season, by now you'd have a new striker, 100%.
You think so?
I think so, definitely.
We would be on new track because if think about it like this, we tried to go in for Punas. Thank God we didn't get him. Thank God every day.
We'll talk about him later.
We didn't get him. Even Nkunku looks like he's going Chelsea. Who's the striker that United would have had if?
I mean, there's a same man. I feel you guys would have definitely tried to go for someone because 2 seasons without like having a striker target, like most clubs refresh strikers, like or most clubs would unless they have an actual striker. If they don't have one, that's like like hitting the like you guys were kind of done with Martial, so like you guys needed a new striker and signing Ronaldo.
I'm pretty sure Rangnick recommended Vlahovic. And they did.
Yeah, they did. But signing Ronaldo already puts you back in the term of where like you don't want to sign someone else because if you can't start the person because you'd have to bench Ronaldo, and it all goes back.
Yeah, but he's on the bench anyway, regardless.
He's now on the bench anyway, so it's all come down to the same thing. January, maybe you guys go for someone, but I feel like
I don't think we can.
I don't think
we can get a striker in January.
I think you just have to wait till summer.
Yeah, summer. Yeah.
I think all in all, it was just not a necessary signing, really. Like there was just no need. Like obviously, besides the whole history with the club and everything, like there just wasn't any need really to sign him. But yeah.
So let's focus on United on the pitch. Dan, what was your thoughts on their performance? Like, what things really worried you about what they were showing?
Do you know? I didn't actually think Man City were great. I think Man United were poor. And I think a lot of it was the midfield. I think their midfield was really, really poor. Like there was no like compactness in their system. Like it felt like there was just so much space. And De Bruyne and obviously Gundogan and Bernardo Silva, you can't give them that much space. And I don't know why they've got Eriksen in the double pivot. Like I don't think defensively he's good enough for that position. I think he can't screen the back four. I think he's not going to really win a lot of duels in the midfield. So I don't really like him in that position. And I mean, Scott McTominay, I've made my feelings clear on that guy. He's an absolute bozo. So I didn't expect anything from him anyway. But the defense I thought was also pretty poor. Like I think they were quite naive. I think Dalot was unlucky to be booked in like the first minute. And from there, I think he was kind of skeptical because he didn't want to get sent off, which is fair enough. But I don't think any of the defenders or midfielders had a good game. But I don't think that's anything to be massively concerned about because Man United are still right at the beginning of their like the Ten Hag reign, and inevitably he's going to need a lot of time to figure out who fits in the system, who doesn't, what systems what kind of formation works with these current crop of players. Because I think especially in that first like season as a manager, it's less about like trying to force feed your style to the current players and more about kind of like working with the cards that you've been dealt with and just kind of waiting until you can bring in your own players and then implementing your own style. So yeah, it wasn't a great performance from Man United. The consolation goals helped. They helped make it look less embarrassing, but yeah, it was a poor performance, man. Poor performance.
I do question him a bit. Like you're saying, he played McTom, Eriksen, and Bruno.
And for me, that midfield, I don't think that midfield can work, man. I don't think it can.
But the thing, when you're going away to Man City, you do have to be quite workmanlike. Like they do the same thing.
But if you're going to be workmanlike, and I know a lot of Man United fans don't like him, but why are you not putting Fred in the midfield? If you want someone who's going to get into a lot of duels and kind of just put pressure on the ball and work very hard, he's not like fantastic, but Fred does that. And when he's played against Man City before, he's actually played quite well.
And that's the thing. KDB and Bernardo, obviously, they're two wide midfielders were constantly. They always make that space they run into the half space. So you're gonna need players that are gonna track the runners. Are you gonna rely on Bruno and Ericsson to track KDB and Bernardo when they're constantly making those third man runs? You gotta look at that and say that was slightly poor from him. So yeah, and then he should have played with a bit more pacing behind. Sancho and Anthony didn't really offer anything in behind.
I think he tried though, like Rashford, like against Arsenal, that was the game plan, to be honest, and it worked. And I think they tried to replicate that against Man City, especially because what's his name wasn't playing, Rodri wasn't playing, so there wasn't that kind of layer in front of the back four. But I think it just wasn't a great performance overall.
Denzel, what was your thoughts, man? How are you feeling?
It was a pretty toothless performance, to be honest. First half, I was excited because I got my break the same time as the game, so I was pumped up for the derby. 4-0 down, finished my break. It's awful stuff. About Ericsson playing in a deeper role, I think I don't have an issue with it. I have an issue with it when we're playing against teams like Man City. Against other teams, I don't think Ericsson in a deeper role is an issue. I feel like actually he creates a lot from deep. Like his passing is insane. He controls the midfield and deep. Like most games that we've played this season, Ericsson in the double pivot has done well. Obviously in Man City, just hella runners, so it's gonna be tough for him. And he's not that strong defensively, so I feel like that is like it wasn't good for him. But in general, I'm not worried about Ericsson in a double pivot. I actually think he's pretty good in that position. We didn't show any fight. We showed City way too much respect. That's the thing that pissed me off. Because from the get-go, you could just see it's like men against boys. They were passing the ball around. They had so many opportunities. Even before they scored, they had train that was on where they had like 3 shots. De Gea saved them. It's like they came to City and rolled over. It got on my nerves because surely you should be putting more fight and determination when you play against these teams. But it was just a mess from beginning to end. The consolation goals, I don't care about them. Some people were happy about it. I saw Man United fans, 6-3. Oh, at least you scored 3 against Man City. I don't care. We lost. We conceded 6 goals. Like, I don't give a toss whether we scored 3. Like, I saw some shameless fans like made an edit saying we won 3-0. Like, come on, like it's the lowest that this fan base has sank to. It just gets on my nerves. Like, what the hell is going on? It's a Manchester derby. We should be trying to fight. We should try to be beating Man City. To concede 6 against City is never a good thing. And just overall, just a poor, disappointing performance. But I'm not too worried though, because at the end of the day, this is the best team in Europe. Like, they demolish teams with ease. I'm not gonna panic about anything just here.
What about you, Carl?
Yeah, I'll say it's not a crisis for Man United, but there was out of their depth by quite a margin, to be honest. And as Dan said, it's more the fact that the midfield, they offered no protection to the back. So obviously, Ten Hag needs to realise he's not going to outclass City in terms of tactics. So you need to go back to the drawing board and like the physical game, as Denzel said. And like they didn't offer much in the midfield in terms of physicality, and that's one thing that you can beat Man City on. It's not a case of no one's ever kind of handled City that well. So yeah, no, I do think there's out of depth completely, and I don't really believe that McTominay and Ericsson offers too much in terms of going up against Man City, in terms of defensive ability. I do think Fred or someone who can actually put in the work more would have been a much better choice, if I'm honest. In terms of defense, yeah, like going back to the drawing boards, in some other games, I thought that was impressive, but yesterday it was atrocious, to be honest. Even when you looked at one of Haaland's goals, it could have been easily headed away by Martinez, so it's not a good look. It's not a good look at all. And as you say, consolation goals it doesn't mean anything, if you're being honest. You can't get embarrassed the way, like, when you go back to the old days of working and all that kind of stuff, this ain't happening to them. This ain't happening to them, So I think it's very, very bad. And as there's a whole topic on the whole this kind of disrespect to Ronaldo's career, all this kind of stuff, how he didn't get brought on, Ten Hag talking about that, it kind of just sums up, like he shouldn't be in this situation at all, really. You can't be getting embarrassed by your rivals and your biggest derby ever. So it's not looking good.
I hear that. What about you, Ori?
One thing I'll say is that, like, a lot of credit to City. I know everyone is like, yeah, United are really poor and stuff, but one thing that like Pep has really always managed to do, especially at City, is kind of like putting together a team that's always like so technically secure, basically, and like across like Pep's career as well, it's like also been like a very like recurring theme, basically. Like there's a saying I used to hear that like Pep essentially wants to like have like 11 midfielders in his team, like at all, at all times, basically. And like when I was just watching the game, I was just seeing like everybody was just so technically secure. Like when they get the ball, they know when to release it, they know how to release it, they know at the tempo, the pace, everything to release it at. Um, it was like I think they really did like technically just outclass United, basically. I feel like United do not have um the same level of technically advanced players as City have. And it was kind of very obvious to see, right from like the roots, like, obviously goalkeeper to like the forward line, like you could just tell that they weren't on the level of City. And then Josh, you spoke about the wingers. And I don't know, you know what, like in terms of like wingers and all of that, like I don't know how you put 175 million to get two wingers who I don't think can run. Sancho and Anthony cannot run. You have wingers who do not know.
Slow down on Anthony. Sancho, I'll give you. Anthony, give him a
Anthony,
bit more time. We'll give
Anthony
him time.
cannot
We'll see.
run. You have two wingers on both flanks. Not that I'm not even talking about his ability or anything, like that's for another day. But you have two wingers who cannot run. You have two wingers who do not know how. I don't think they go in like behind once, really, both of them.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah,
true.
in
They
game.
just
Yeah, like
they just
um,
what they do the same thing. They dribble, do a couple rollovers and
yeah,
stuff
like
over some
stuff like
games,
that.
and
Like
then they
I
pass it
you know
back.
what, like
Like it's so predictable.
I know United's game were a bit limited, obviously going against City, but like one thing like you could use to your advantage was obviously like the counter attack. I know easier said than done, but it did work against us. We just played a really, really high line. City also played with a really high line as well. But I don't know, I just feel if you had pacey wingers, City are the ones who can use wingers who don't need pace, which they have in Grealish, who had a very good game as well, because they play with ball to feet basically at all times. So they don't really require a winger who, is super pacey and stuff like that. But I just don't know why, the combination is just no, I don't like it too much, really. Like, I think even if you have one winger who sits, like, you should have another one who's a runner. And Sancho and Anthony together, it's not, I don't know, it's not really a good winger combination. Rashford, I don't know, he wasn't really in the game. Like, yeah, just got really washed out. Can't really blame him though, because like there was genuinely like nothing United were doing. The midfield as well. I don't know, just incredibly like soulless, really. Like they just didn't match in terms of quality. I do agree with Danny in terms of starting Ericsson and Bruno in the same midfield. I think is incredibly naive. It could work in certain games, but ultimately against City, that's not the type of game that you should be playing. Like with, I don't even think Bruno should have played that game. I think he should have played Ericsson, and then Fred. And even if he wanted to play McTominay, he could have still played McTominay. Although maybe Casemiro maybe could have been a better option. I also don't know what's happening with Casemiro as well. Was he like, an ETH signing basically?
I feel like he's trying to phase him in.
Maybe.
I feel like he's trying to do that.
Then in terms of defense, I don't know. The fullbacks don't look insanely convincing 1v1. Like I know, like yeah, you said Dallo got a yellow card early, so he was trying to kind of like minimize the damage and stuff like that. But I don't know, like 1v1 fullbacks don't really look too convenient. Then, yeah, ultimately it just wasn't really. I think they do need to go back to the drawing board in terms of like starting from. I know like he probably is kind of making do with what he has at the moment, but they just kind of need to rehash in terms of like how they approach football in general. Not just like like going back to like the grassroots, basically like how they can pass the ball better, how they can move the ball quicker, how they can get balls in behind better and stuff like that. But yeah, at the end of the day, City, they are really good. So they would look back obviously upset and everything, but they'll probably try and go into their next game like trying to play better. Although, with that being said, their next game is Everton away, and I kind of feel that might be a tough game for them, especially with Everton picking up form recently.
Their midfield's good.
And
Everton's.
Everton have a very good midfield, so that would be a very good matchup, I would say again. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. But yeah, that's it.
I think that's enough about the Manchester derby and Manchester in general. Let's move on to London and the North London derby. Should we go Arsenal or Tottenham first? I think cook Tottenham.
Let's talk about Tottenham first. Yeah, let's go. Tottenham.
Yeah, let's cook him.
So I think at the start of the season, you were hearing some people saying that they might do a title challenge, but I've always looked at their team and I just didn't think their team was that good. I don't really feel like they have that many quality players. I think they got. I only really look at Kane really as a established world-class player, but I look at Lloris. I mean, Lloris isn't there like that anymore. You know, their centre backs. I like Romero's a fug in it, but like we're talking about proper quality players now. I don't know.
Do you know who Romero reminds me of? You know, and I'm not saying he's the same quality level, but in terms of profile, rash, front foot, he reminds me a lot of Mustafi.
Wow.
He reminds me a lot of Mustafi.
I mean, there's places for those sorts of defenders. You do need.
I'm not saying he's the same quality level. Mustafi was crap, but that's sort of like profile where he's so aggressive, so front foot.
Yeah, I think those profiles are quite refreshing in the game. But yeah, look, moving back onto their team, I just don't think they have a lot of quality to be a top 2 team. I think what they've done in the summer is they added more depth, so they have more options. Like they have Richarlison, who's a good option off the bench. They got Basuma, Perisic was a good squad player. I feel like they've added depth, but the general quality of the team, the first 11, I just don't think it's that high. And I think for them, top 4 is really the challenge. But yeah, Carl, what's your thoughts on Spurs and the quality of their team?
To be honest, I think Conte is the right man for the team, man. I do believe they've had a decent start to the season in terms of what he's getting out of the squad. I do believe like his defense, like players like Eric Dyer, Conte is getting a lot out of the players. But they always have that Spurs way, in the derby. I think they was outclassed by quite a way, if I'm being honest. And then when you look back to the individual quality, when you actually see them when they're tested properly by a top team, it's not that convincing. I do believe the title charge, it's not this year from Conte. He would have to turn something around a lot and go back to having a pure defensive structure. So I don't believe Tottenham are going to be having the season they think they'll be having. Players like Son are just being. I know he had the good hat trick the other week, but he's not hitting the same right now. And Harry Kane, obviously, you do have to question: is it only going to be penalty goals, or what's he going to kind of do? Because I don't think he's getting that much support up top. Richarlison I haven't really seen him too much settle into the team as they'd think he would be, and even players like Kulevetsky, he's not having the season he had last season. So I do think Tottenham are gonna. I believe they will get maybe top 4. I do believe they're quite a strong side. I wouldn't be too harsh on them right now. I'm still confident in Conte. I do believe, in terms of 3 at the back, there's not really anyone better than him, if I'm honest.
What about you, Dan? What's your thoughts on the quality of Spurs team?
Yeah, I agree with what's been said. To be honest, I don't think I think because even we were discussing before we started the pod that like the media has quite enough fiction for Spurs. So even if they showed the slightest bit of promise, like the media will gas them up and write loads of great stuff about them. Because if we're being honest, last year they weren't great. They were quite poor last year. They got top 4 mainly, not even mainly. They got top 4 because Arsenal bottled it, not because they were good. They were poor last year. And the players they've added, like you were saying, a lot of them are squad players. Like most of them don't massively improve the starting 11. Like they bought in Richarlison for £60 million, who's not even a starting player. Like they could have spent that money in different areas and improved the starting 11, especially like midfield and defense and wing backs as well. Because I think Emerson Royale, I think he's very, very poor. I think their centre backs aren't poor, but they're not great. Like they're okay, but they're not good enough for a title challenge. I think top 4, like you said, is the kind of not ceiling, but the level of this team. And I think even the way that they're playing, like they've looked not great in any of their games. Actually, I tell a lie. They've looked good in 2 games, Southampton and Leicester. But apart from that, they've scraped results against teams that aren't very good. So I don't think it was a massive surprise that they got beat, especially at the Emirates. I think we'll see what they do for the rest of the season, because I still think that they're capable of that top 4. And especially considering Liverpool, Chelsea and Man United haven't been massively consistent, I think they could get that 2nd and 3rd, but I don't think they'll be anywhere close to City.
I hear that 100%. Man. What about you, Denzel?
With Spurs, like I just don't like the way they set up. I don't like the way they play football. I'm allergic to it. I can't stand it. It's like you're playing against Arsenal and you start with a 2-man midfield. Like, what the hell are you doing? Like, obviously, I know they had Dyer in midfield. I know they had Dyer in there to like cover the like as a centre, but it's just like, why are you doing? Do you think that's a good way to set up against Arsenal?
Or a 2-man midfield
with Højbjerg and who was
I think it's the personnel as well. Like, I don't think you can have Bentancur in a 2-man midfield.
Exactly, Bentancur and Højbjerg against.
I think Bissouma's got to be there.
Come on now, like it's so naive. Like I don't like the wing backs as well. Like Dan was saying, it's so meaty. Like Emerson Royale, meaty. Who's even their left back?
Perisic.
Perisic.
But even Perisic, they don't look different when Perisic or Sessegnon play. They look the exact same.
Exactly. Like it's so meaty. Like I know they want to play this whole rug and rough it. Where this new Tottenham like taking over the mantle from Jose. You have to be mean, not nice. But like, bro, it's Tottenham Hotspurs playing a 2-man midfield at the Emirates against Arsenal, and you're expecting to come back with a W. Like it doesn't make sense to me. I know people had high hopes for them at the beginning of the season. I think it is because of the depth of their squad. Last season, they didn't have that depth and they've added it, so people thought they would improve. Maybe they will, but footballing wise, they're not good to watch, are they? And the thing is, I just know Tottenham. It's just something about them. It's never. They're never gonna get there, in my opinion. I'm sorry to say, it's just. But credit to Arsenal. So we have to. Obviously, we'll get to Arsenal later, but you have to give credit to Arsenal. They got their revenge.
What about you, Ari? What's your thoughts on Tottenham's overall quality of the team?
Shit. Basically, I know Denzel may not like to hear this, but I can kind of like copy and paste my analysis from United to Spurs in a very similar way in the terms of like technically from goalkeeper to the forward line, excluding like Harry Kane, who wasn't obviously really involved in the game as well too. But I do not see much technical ability in that team in terms of like the fundamentals of football, passing, moving the ball quickly, basically even like goalkeeper Lloris,
Well, you don't think Son's a good technical player?
Oh no.
You don't think he is?
I don't think so. No,
he hasn't really been that impressive this season. If I wanna.
No, okay, okay. Just in general, let's be honest.
I've always seen Son as a transition player. Like he can always get in behind. He can run really fast and he can finish. But ball to feet.
I think I don't know what it is with Son.
Have you seen Son take on a defender this season?
I haven't watched too much of Son, if I'm being honest, but I feel like he does have technical ability.
He has taken on one player this season. You know how many players Saka has taken on this season? Saka has taken on 13 players. As per like to take the ball on your feet and go against your defender. That is what a winger does. That's what an attacker does. Yeah. Son has only done that once.
I think Son is like the thing is with human Son. His decision making sometimes gets on my nerves as well. He's like whoever man that's open for a pass,
he's just a transition.
And he'll decide to try and lick it from a stupid angle. Like, okay, now that I think about it, he's not the smartest. I'll be honest.
He's a transition. He's a
player.
He's not the smartest. Sometimes we'll try and lick a ball from like Kane's wide open, or try and lick a ball from like
Oh,
30
his
yards
passing
out.
was
I'm like, what are you
poor in
doing?
North London derby.
He's-
His
Well,
passing.
yeah, he's basically just like a transition player. Like you play him on the left half
He's a
space.
glorified Rashford.
You
Is that
you
what
can
we're
get
saying?
him behind.
No, Rashford's actually got a bit of tech to him.
Even you know, it's probably a very controversial thing, but like
We're
I
saying
think
Rashford's better.
if
technically.
Rashford is at his, you know, Rashford has obviously been off form for like a really long time, but Rashford
Nah,
at
this
his
apart from last month.
That's
was
not
decent.
controversial. Rashford's a better footballer than Son, 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
You're taking
yeah.
Rashford over Son.
yeah,
Rashford
Rashford is definitely a better footballer than Son. Rashford
You're
is
taking peak Rashford over peak Son.
100%.
Question.
Bro,
Disagree.
100%.
Oh, wait.
I'm taking pick
How
Rashford.
many goals? What we saying is peak Rashford though?
The thing is,
Bro,
Son
that
can
Ole,
score,
Ole,
but
Ole.
I don't know.
Bro, that Rashford was disgusting.
Under
Bro,
Oli.
don't. Yeah.
Yeah,
Bro,
Free
Son,
kicks in all
Nah, I'm
sense.
still taking peak Son over that Rashford. I can't lie.
What's peak Son?
Son is a purely transitional player. Like there's nothing.
But
else
Son's
you can-
probably
But Rashford's
the best
that at
transitional
this point. Let's be
player.
honest.
There's nothing else you can get from Son. Like Rashford can have the ball at his feet and play with the ball. Like
And
I've seen Rashford many times take on defenders. I've seen Rashford many times dribble players. Rashford is a player who can take the ball at his
when
feet.
was the last time we've seen Rashford take on a man? Though, let's be honest. Like
He's
he's a transition. He's a very Rashford is a very good transitional player, but ball to feet, he doesn't really offer that much. If we're being honest.
I think he's much better ball to feet than Son is.
100%.
Son, like I don't see Son with the ball. Like it's either he's running to get the ball. It's either like I don't know. I just never really see like he's just purely a transitional player. Like I've just never really seen him as like someone who can actually, I like, yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of like, but that being said, back to like what I was saying, yeah, like all around the squad from like goalkeeper, everything, like technical levels are so low. I also think like the type of football Conte plays, is kind of disgraceful sometimes. It's also not sustainable at all. It's not sustainable at all. Like, there's a reason. Like, obviously, like he used that, like, the tactics that he used when he like won with. I mean, he uses it all the time when he wins titles and stuff. But like, even when he did it at Inter, when he did it at Chelsea and stuff like that, like at least like the players that he had around them, at least they still had like a higher technical level to some extent. Because I know Chelsea too, their like squad all around wasn't really like the best player to player. But I also feel like football is really like advancing to the point where like you can't sustain that kind of like you could do it where like Spurs could finish third this season. Spurs could even finish second this season. But the very top teams, as for like usually the first, second, like when you come against them or how they were doing the season will be so much better than you because they're playing football, I don't want to say the right way, but fundamentally they're playing it how it should be played. Passing better, moving the ball around quicker, going into a game with saying that, okay, I want to have the ball. Like, how can you go into a game and you've already conceded that we're going to be on the back foot? Like, we're going to like, we're not, when it's also not, with all respect to Arsenal as well, but like, we can be very shaky at times. Like, it's a case where like, you should be telling your players, like, let's have a go at them. Let's exploit their weak spots. Because we do have weak spots, definitely. But to go into a game like that, especially derby, and just like sit back and let us, like, from the very first minute, we were doing like passes through them, like they weren't there basically. So I don't know, very, very poor approach to the game. And after we scored the second one when it was 2-1, he kind of forfeit, like he kind of like gave up at 2-1, basically, like how they were playing after like we went 2-1 up. Like it's kind of like he said, you know what, let's just call it a day. The red card just made him have an excuse. But really, even before the red card, like for that 10 minutes straight, they kind of gave up on the game. Like they had no ideas. They didn't know what to do. All they relied on was counter-attacking football, which wasn't really working. It did work kind of that one time when they got the penalty. But that was, again, just like a very slim chance. Because if Gabriel didn't make that tackle, if we didn't like lose the ball at certain areas, we wouldn't have conceded that pen, obviously. So they were just working with very thin chances. All around, they were just really poor. Not a sustainable method of football at all. Against Leicester, when you're coming up against like Danny Ward and stuff, cool. Do what you want to do. play how you want to play. But when you like come across, you know, teams that, you know, actually play football, then you kind of have to change your approach or kind of like, you know, try and go ahead toe to toe. But I feel like Conte, knowing that he can kind of like match us in terms of playing the ball, is just really crazy, because he's, you know, he's had his time to kind of like coach the team, kind of put together a squad that can at least play good football. And the fact that he isn't just means like he's okay with this, and he's okay with just being there, really. Like, he kind of knows he's not going to challenge for anything, the title with Spurs. He's just okay with just being around, you know, the top four basically. And yeah, I think like their peak is definitely top four. To win the title, you need to be way more consistent, and you can be consistent with that type of football. Yeah,
I hear that. But let's talk about your guys, innit? We haven't done the pod since the start of the season, so should we have an overview about Arsenal since the start of the season? Denz, why are you shying away? You don't like Arsenal?
I know, I'm here.
But let's start with the Arsenal guys, innit? Let's start with the Arsenal guys. What, how you been feeling this season? What's the vibes you're getting from Arsenal? Let me start with Ori. What's the vibes you're getting from Arsenal this season?
I don't know. I would just say I think we're really always like we're improving a lot. We're improving a lot. And one thing I've always like liked Arteta for what he has done with is kind of like always matching the squad in terms of like what level we are in our development, basically. So like it's still a progress. It's still like we're not like, you know, going to win the title this season. Hopefully, tactical jinx. But you know, it's kind of like where we are at the level. We always have the players that kind of like are required to play the football that we need to play. And I feel like for the first time since Arteta has been here, I can probably say we can actually put an 11 together that can actually play to some extent like exactly what he wants to do, exactly how he wants to play, basically. I think every player is in our team, like for the first time, is fairly like very technically secure. Obviously we do have players there that make like, you know, mistakes here and there who don't have good days. But I feel like in terms of like the pure fundamentals, I feel like every player has that. I feel like they can all pass really well. Every player that is included, I think all our players can pass really well. They're all good with the ball at their feet. All our forwards can take on defenders. They're all technically gifted, which I just think is really cool. So I think we kind of put together a very good squad for the first time in like a really long time. Like, can't remember a time where we've had like, you know, a lot of group of players, even down to the bench as well. We've improved that as well too, because you think about it, like Nketiah too looks really good when he comes on, and he can't even get a starting place. Tierney, who's probably still one of the best left backs in the league, can't get a starting place, you know. Vieira, who, you know, scored that, you know, beautiful goal against Brentford, he too can't start in the team. So it's just kind of really good to finally see that we have competition, and, you know, we have players fighting for spots, and we have like a good team all round. In terms of like what we'll achieve this season, I don't think top four should even be like something that should be said at this point. I feel like it should be a given. We should make top four. In terms of like title and stuff like that, still a bit early days. I just think I'll be comfortable anywhere between second, third. It's kind of what I expected going into the season, anyways. We don't need to be in a top four race this season. It should kind of like be done and dusted. That's what I want, basically. If we do end up like in a top four race, wouldn't be too pleased with that, because like I feel like we are definitely like above a level against some other teams in the league, basically. But I guess I just kind of have to see how everything all plays out. But really, really happy with the squad right now. Happy with manager, happy with like everything all around. January, I still think we need to sign some players. I don't want a repeat of what happened last year when we didn't sign any players in January, and it'll be such a deja vu thing for Arsenal. Like, if it happens again, where we kind of like slip off, even if it's not title, even if it's not like but like just to make sure we can finish as high as possible, I think we definitely need to sign some players in January. And yeah, just credit to everyone in the team. And credit, for like how we're playing and all of that. Yeah.
What about you, Dan? How you been feeling? What's the vibes you're getting?
Yeah, man, I think I agree with what Ori said. I think he summed it up quite well. I think we started better than I thought we would. Like I thought we would stumble and trip up at maybe one of the away days, like maybe like Brentford away or something. But I've been impressed with the way that we've been picking up 3 points more or less everywhere apart from at Old Trafford. And it's not even just like the fact that we're winning; it's the performances in the game as well. Like especially the Brentford away performance. Like I thought we were dominant, super dominant, super controlling, and I think that's been a consistent theme this year. To be honest, I think more or less every game, apart from that Man United game, we've been very controlling. And one thing I can say is that it's never when we've conceded goals. I don't think it's been a tactical kind of mistake. I think they've all come from an individual error or like a individual bozo moment, which I mean is obviously not Mikel Arteta's fault, and I think them things will be ironed out in the future. Well, I hope so anyway. In terms of the future, I agree with Ori. I don't think we should be involved in a top four race. I think we should be a little bit beyond that. I think the position that I kind of went into the season hoping that we were is like just kind of above the top four contenders, but below City and Liverpool. That's kind of the level I thought we might be. But considering how badly Liverpool have performed and how we've done a bit better than I thought, and I think we should really be aiming for second. Whether we'll get that or not is a totally different story. But yeah, and like Ori said, I think we should definitely strengthen in January. Like whether we've got injuries or not, I still think we should strengthen because I mean we have a Ghanaian player in midfield who number one is very injury prone and number two his legal situation is very precarious. So I think we need to replace that guy as soon as possible, and especially considering like there's something that could potentially be on the line. I think that's something that we definitely need to look at. So yeah, man, I think we've been good this season. I hope it continues, but we'll have to see.
Benzo, talk about your great rivals. How you feeling?
Credit to them, obviously, but it's how many games in a season. So, but they should enjoy it. They've been playing. I'll give it to them. They played good football. They've won. They've done everything they can do. They've won all the games they need to win, apart from the one, obviously, but can't win them all. Yeah, they're playing good football. They're very consistent. They have a system. The system works. They're not making silly mistakes. It seems like they're building a bit of character as well. As it stands, they're doing everything they should be doing, so you can't really fault them. But it just goes down to when it comes down to crunch time, we'll see what happens. But they do seem to have improved mentally as well as the physical aspects of the game as well.
What about you, Carl?
Yeah, for me, like putting biases aside, can't really have watched the Premier League so far and say that Arsenal haven't implemented the second best system underneath City, really, if we're being completely honest. So I think that it goes back to what we were saying in pre-season and the end of last year, how Arteta's obviously trying to build this system. And I think currently he's got the players playing how he wants to play and players that people questioned, like the likes of Xhaka. He's got people playing that personally I didn't think were exceptional players at all. He's got them playing very well under his system, and the fluidity that Arsenal have and they're implementing right now is exceptionally good, to be honest. And I think below City, they've done it the best so far. And that's the way they want to play. And that's the way Arteta's made them play, you know. So it's looking very positive right now. I do believe that Arsenal have to be going for that second spot, you know. I think if they was in a top four race and it got all messy at the end of the season, I think that would be very disappointing because I can tell you for free they're much better side than Chelsea and Liverpool right now, like currently right now, in terms of what they've done in the season, as of the last game. So Arsenal they should be pushing for top two really. Obviously, the whole I have to say Man City will comfortably win the league, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And their new additions, I think the fact that Arteta's got the current players playing his system, if they can get some additions that already know that type of game, as you say, the Pep kind of style of play, and be able to very good dribblers in the field and very competent players technically, then they could be a strong side, And again, it's all the long term. So as we said, it'll be the 2-year, 3-year target, So if this is what they're doing this season, if they can get the additions and kind of attract the top talent, which I still don't know if they can yet, but obviously players abroad, they're going to be seeing this, and hopefully by Christmas for them, they'll be in a strong position, and that might allow them to get some top January transfers, from obviously international clubs. So yeah, if you're an Arsenal fan, you're kind of laughing right now because everything's been going the way you'd want it to go under the Arteta reign, which has had some worries. And I think if anyone now, Arsenal fans are against Arteta and don't really believe in his system, I think you kind of have to question the way you see football, really.
He's done well, man. You got to give him his props. Cause
that's what I'm saying.
A lot of us were saying that, Arteta has to go in it, but, he's with the Storm in it, and he's got Arsenal playing well. They're doing very well right now. So, yeah, let's move on to a team that's not doing so well, in Liverpool. Well, what should we discuss about Liverpool? What is it? Because Denzel was saying about Nunes, whatever.
Should we discuss if it's time for Klopp? Yeah, if it's time for Klopp to go, because I've seen a lot of people talk about that on the.
Sorry, you begin.
Does Klopp need to go? That's a tough one, actually. I would say no. But Klopp is, I don't know. He's kind of like a very gives me old school. Kind of reminds me of Wenger in a way. In terms of the way like he doesn't want to kind of like switch up.
Stubborn, innit?
Stubborn, yeah, precisely. Like, come on, like switch up. Like Pep did an interview with Rio, where like
say the same thing.
Yeah, where Rio was basically talking to him and like how does he like maintain like the level top, and he was just like you just have to like refresh the players, refresh the system, refresh everything. Like no matter how good you are, no matter how good the players are, systems will be found out, patterns can be read, the game can be understood, people will find you out. You have to switch up on players. You have to, and everyone like went on Pep for signing Grealish for like 100 million and stuff like that. But he switched up. He went from Sterling, who's a runner, who also very good in ball to feed, but like who usually preferred to get in behind. And he went on for someone who's kind of like a bit more a midfielderish type of winger, if that makes sense. Really, someone who kind of gets the ball a bit deeper. Obviously, Grealish hasn't had a really good start like to his City career, but Pep still switched up, and I mean, Grealish is still playing; they're still getting wins. So I mean, all's well. But I think that's one thing that like kind of differentiates Pep and Klopp a lot is just that like Klopp doesn't really want to change up on like his system. He kind of like always wants like stay on the particular path he's on, and that's what he's been doing all this while. Sign new players. The amount of money put on Nunes was a lot. Feel like there definitely were other striker options in the markets and stuff like that. But even if he was trying to get a striker who could kind of like, I don't know what type of striker he was trying to get, kind of going into the window. I can't really see what kind of system he's really trying to do right now. But he's just still relying on kind of like the fullback creating chances, 3-man workaholic midfield, and it's just not really working anymore. Like everybody, kind of like knows the system, kind of find them out easily. If you're creating chances majorly from your fullbacks, then everyone knows that means that your fullbacks are leaving gaps in behind. So everybody will try and exploit those gaps in behind. It's kind of like textbook stuff. The reason why everybody is kind of like onto Trent and stuff like that. Like as much as he hasn't been playing good and stuff, but it's all down to Klopp as well, because Klopp is still telling him in training, the system is still saying go forward, attack, be the same defender you were, but Klopp isn't giving the tactical leeway that they had before. He's kind of saying like do the same thing before and expect the same results. But you can't, because things change and people kind of like read your game and they can find you out and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know what he's kind of like working at, but this game against us this weekend is kind of like a very because a lot of people, especially the media, like they obviously like still kind of see Arsenal as kind of like, you know, the bad club, stuff like that. So Liverpool kind of like losing to us this weekend will really be a huge twist if it happens. So I really do hope we beat them, but it would kind of be a huge twist. And I think that's where like people would really start to actually ask the questions. Obviously, like we're better than a lot of teams that they've lost to or dropped points against this season, but there'll just be kind of something symbolic, I feel, about them losing to us, especially because like, you know, we usually have a really bad record against Liverpool. So I think that's when kind of maybe the club debate may become a bit more mainstream. It still would become mainstream if they don't like pick it up and start to like get points on the table and stuff like that. But I think everyone, including Liverpool fans, are just wondering like, why doesn't he change up? Why doesn't he switch up the system? Obviously, he doesn't have as much financial leeway as City, but the amount you're signing Nunes for, you know, bringing in players, he's still spending money. So why isn't he using that to change, you know, the system, tactics, bring in different players? Yeah, I don't know.
I think you mentioned a valid point about the financial leeway, but at the same time, Klopp is a loyal guy as well to his players. So I feel like the fact that he's loyal, like he's kept Milner and Henderson, and to be honest,
Is
as
that not
much
due
as
to injuries?
No, there's no reason in any universe why Milner should be starting games in 2022. It just
I
does.
thought it was just because of injuries. I thought Thiago and Harvey Elliott and Curtis Jones were injured. That's why I thought he was starting.
Yeah,
I might
but
be wrong with that.
I don't know. It's just Thiago. Did Thiago play the last game?
I think he
Yes.
did.
Yeah.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, I know they do have injury problems and stuff like that. But I mean, at what point, like you should have passed the level in which I don't know where Milner would still be required in the squad. Like, they should have done all the depth they needed. I know the financial leeway thing and stuff like that, but I don't know. It's just a bit like
I think that's a bit of a cop out though with the financial leeway. I feel
It
like
is because they spent 80 million on Nunes.
yeah, I think they could have.
I don't think it's a spending money thing. I think it's a poor recruitment thing. And like that's surprising because Liverpool have been so good.
Yeah, they have been
like,
so good. I mean, I
sector.
guess there was always going to be that time where he would kind of fail. Like he has had Klopp has had a system that has worked perfectly, but it's a case where like he's kind of like everything has kind of like fall together at the same time with how like they got the recruitment of Salah, Mane, with the Firmino, everything. It's kind of like almost like not a once in a blue. Well, I can actually kind of say a once in a blue moon kind of thing, where like everything kind of worked out together, and now everyone is kind of looking like, okay, their golden era is kind of over, and they only have a league title and the Champions League trophy in about 8 years to show for it. So I don't know. Felt they could have definitely achieved more when they were, you know, that team. Now putting together like a whole new system just really seems like a tough job for Klopp. Yeah, I don't know. I think his days are definitely numbered, depending on how like the season obviously goes. But as of right now, it's not really looking too good.
Do you know what's crazy? We're having this debate here whether it's time for Klopp to go or not. And last season, for a decent amount of time, there was a genuine fear that they would do the quadruple.
Yeah, that's true.
They finished like 1 point behind Man City, and in the space of one season, they've descended so much that has like I don't know, man. It's so I can't think of a reason why they're so poor, but they've definitely. I think a lot of the players' levels have dropped, and I think a lot of the intensity has dropped. But I don't know if that's something that Klopp can change, or
it's also kind of disheartening, like, you know, multiple occasions being so close to the title or different trophies and kind of falling short. Like mentally as well, it's kind of hard it's kind of hard to get your players back from. They missed out on the title twice with 1 point, with a point. Like that's just insane. They've been to 2 Champions League finals that they've lost. They went 2 cup finals. Did Liverpool win a trophy last season?
They won 2 on penalties.
Okay, yeah, they beat Chelsea. Yeah. So yeah, they got to Champions League final last season. They lost that. They lost the league on 1 point. they've lost another Champions League final in the past before. They've lost the league on a point. They've gotten 90 plus points twice. No, 3 times, and they've only won 1 league title in that. That's insane. So kind of getting your players back from that is incredibly tough. But yeah, I don't know really. But this is just it's a very, very, very poor start to the season. They look like out of ideas. Like nothing refreshing, nothing new. Like it all just seems very stagnant. Yeah.
I feel like with Liverpool, because they've had a lot of injury issues this season, especially in the midfield area. And I feel like once they get that back, so they have Fabinho, Thiago is important for allowing them to control the game a bit more. And then you probably do have to play Henderson in the midfield.
But that being said, that's the midfield they played against Brighton was Thiago, Fabinho, and Henderson, which arguably is their best midfield. And I mean, if you watch the game, Brighton should have been 4-0 up in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah. So I don't know. But should we talk about Núñez? Because I do feel like the hate that he's been getting is too much.
His aesthetics. He just looks like he's a bozo in it. So people are going to clown him. And also because the fee was massive.
Yeah, the fee was massive. I don't know. I don't think he's going to have a bad Liverpool career. Like I kind of think he's going to pick up still. But like I don't know. Is he still the answer to like the questions they're being asked? I don't really know, to be fair. Like he can obviously start scoring goals and everything, but would that ultimately change how Liverpool play football, like as a whole? Not really. It's just going to be like an additional player in attack scoring goals for you. They kind of have to like refresh. They kind of have to refresh the squad in a way. They do have a lot of injury problems as well too, but I don't know. They just kind of looked boring for like the past season, and for the past season, like they just don't really look as exciting as they once did, I guess. Yeah.
I think going forward they need some ball retention, man. I think Salah, Núñez, and Diaz are all extremely direct players, and I don't think either of them is comfortable with holding the ball and kind of just retaining it for a decent period of time to kind of wait for an opening or create some space or something. And I think that's why I think Firmino has done so well since he's come into the team, because he offers them a bit of ball retention, which, especially with like the likes of Diaz and Salah, is what they need. So I think Klopp probably will have to change up that system. Maybe go to like a 4-2-3-1 or something, just to have someone there if he wants to play them players together. Which I think he has to. Like, you spent however much on Núñez, you spent however much on Diaz, and that's only in the past year. Salah's just signed a new contract extension. Like, it looks like this is the front three that he wants. So how he's going to knit them together, I don't know. And I think because Liverpool are such a Liverpool in the past is such a well-oiled machine, and that all the parts fit together so like kind of perfectly that if one of them is gone, then you notice it a lot from the rest of the team underperforming. Like we saw that when the defenders were injured a couple of seasons ago. When Van Dijk was out, their team crumbled because they didn't have that protection for Trent. They didn't have that ball playing out from the back. So I'm interested to see what adjustments he makes, but I think he has to make some.
100. What else should we mention about Liverpool before we move on?
I think Klopp is a flip-flop, I'll be honest. In terms of, because he was saying, like, he was backing the board, saying, we don't need midfielders. And then I saw one press conference where he came out, he was like, yeah, you guys are right, we need midfielders. Like, bro, Stevie Wonder could see that you guys needed midfielders. It doesn't make sense. Why are you flip-flopping about that? He's so stubborn. I don't like the way he, like, conducts his press conferences as well. Like, it's just weird to me. Like, he has this weird stubborn aura about him. Defensively, they've been poor. Like, let's be real. It's not been a lot of eyes have gone onto the midfield, but defensively they haven't been good either. Núñez, yeah, that guy. I said it from even when United were linked to him. I prayed to God that we don't sign him because he's trash. And he's stinking up for Liverpool too. I just don't see the direction.
Why is he trash? Tell us. Why is he trash?
Bro, the guy can't even control the ball. Like, come on now. Like, he's basically the Uruguayan Lukaku. Let's be real here.
That's a good comparison. Not gonna lie.
He's basically Romelu Lukaku for Uruguay. Like he's not really. Do you think he's a good footballer, Josh?
Oh, yeah. Now we're asking.
Yeah. He's in his own way a bad footballer.
He's a crap footballer, but if he gets goals, but see, this is where we need to distinguish. I will never criticize someone for scoring goals. If Nunes bags goals, that's what he's there to do. My thing is when we start saying that this guy is a top player when he's clearly not.
But the thing is, with Liverpool, you need to. I feel like as a striker, you kind of need to be a good footballer with Liverpool system. Like their front three.
I don't think so.
Well, you don't feel like you don't need to be an amazing footballer, but you need to be competent at football. He's just shocking at football. Yeah, but like, he's just shocking at football. Like he's a worse footballer than Jota.
Bro, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if he scores goals, innit?
But he don't do that either. He can't even find his footing. It's like Bambi on ice. It's awful. Like, and I could see it from when he was at Benfica that he was gonna flop. Well, I'm not gonna call him a flop yet. I feel like that's way too premature. But you could see from Benfica that he wasn't gonna be that guy. Like even United, if he came to United, he'll be doing the same thing. It would be even worse. He's in a Liverpool side that would just come up challenging for a quadruple, and he's suffering in that system. He's bad tempered as well. Defenders know they can get in his ear and he'll headbutt them. Like he's just a mess. Like it's awful.
Carl, you wanted to say something?
I just gotta agree with what you guys said, Sones, because at the end of the day, it's all about like sometimes about rotation and changing things up. And yeah, as you say, Klopp, he's a weird guy. He's a very edgy guy. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on in his head right now, but obviously, I'm not going to disrespect him as manager because what he's done, I don't believe you can't sack Klopp end of the day, and he will never be sacked. It would have to be very, very bad, and it'll come to some sort of agreement to him to leave. But he wouldn't get kicked out anytime soon, not in the next year. But he just needs to rotate things on us, and in January, just try to take a risk, and just add some new players. As you say, Milner, you shouldn't be playing. You can't play him. Not in 2022. Like, it's simple things, and I don't need to repeat what everyone said, but yeah, I don't think Klopp should be questioned himself, but just the whole ideology behind the reasoning why he's playing these players. I don't know if he's explained in any interviews why he's playing Milner today when he's got some top players that he could have bought or could have spent the Nunes money on. But as you say, Nunes, if he gets goals, I guess everyone will shut up. That's the sad truth, really.
I just had a question. It's just a mad hypothetical, isn't it? But like, when Klopp does leave, where do you see him going? Do you see him retiring or managing Germany?
Bayern or Germany?
Germany. Yeah.
Probably Germany.
I don't think he'll go Bayern. He's the
Tuchel
wouldn't do that.
Tuchel go Bayern.
Tuchel will probably go Bayern.
Yeah.
I don't see Klopp going to Bayern. Where would he go?
Germany.
Yeah, Germany or like
the option.
Yeah, or he go to a lower team in Germany.
Real Madrid.
Nah,
he won't take
I'm joking. I'm trolling. United.
Maybe back to Dortmund.
Yeah, that's the only one I really see.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Dortmund, Leipzig or something like that. Yeah.
Because Klopp seems like a proper traditional guy. Like
he seems like he's he seems like when he goes to a club, he proper like gets involved and embraces it.
Yeah, he does that little. He's so he gets on my nerves sometimes. I can't.
He's got the fans.
I'm starting to grow a little of a Klopp agenda. I can't lie. I used to like him a little bit, but I don't know. Recently, he's been stinking it up.
That's interesting, man. I don't think he's done much wrong to have an agenda like that.
Not just his attitude. Like I don't.
He complains about everything, man.
Yeah, he's a bit jarring now. Like
he's interesting.
Well, there was a point in time where people started getting annoyed at Jose, but Jose's Jose. You can't. No one can compare to. No one can compare to Jose.
Klopp is a really Klopp is a really good coach, though. All being said, all the same.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, you don't do what he's done, being a fraud or anything.
True.
He needs to stop moving weird. Only Mourinho can get away with those antics. And it's not Jose. There's only one Jose.
Only one.
It's not that guy.
But Carl, let's talk about your team, innit? What's his name? Harry Potter, innit? Is it Harry? I'm joking. Graham.
Like
Top gaffer.
Graham, you said you don't like him already. That's a bit mad. What's going on?
The thing is, you see the thing with Chelsea, Potter. Okay, it's too early to make any judgment on him. But the reason why I can't support Potter or Bowley or anyone in this club right now is because nothing is going to change I don't get what people are wishing or hoping for. They're not on a title charge. They're not on any sort of charge at all. Potter, he's gonna bring no additions. He has zero proven experience or zero anything to say that he'll do a better job than Tuchel would have done. Tuchel bought the players that he needed, and he got sacked a day after the transfer window. So what? How do you work that one out?
Can I
So
ask you a question then?
I'll
Just
ask any
before you
question.
continue? Are you quite annoyed by the sacking of Tuchel, or do you think he's
See, I haven't even
reasonable?
touched on that. I haven't even touched on that, but I think it's a disgrace personally. Like, I'm very harsh on this decision, but I do believe Tuchel was. I said Chelsea was extremely poor, but Abramovich would not have sacked Tuchel under these measures. Abramovich would not have given Tuchel all the money in the summer, then sacked him a day after the transfer window closed.
Bro, he did the same to Frank. Obviously not straight away though.
Oh,
Yeah,
wait,
that's what I'm saying.
yeah, within a while. Yeah.
And Abramovich wouldn't waste his money like that. And the thing is, Bowley, this guy is he's really annoying me, beginning to annoy me because he's a strange character. He's so involved with the club, so over involved, but he's got no football capability ever. And this is the reason why he's now brought in Potter, who has again zero experience in any sort of winning. So these two, it's like Dumb and Dumber. So where are we going now? Like, it's atrocious, really. So obviously the thing is, I'm not going to be against Potter, but I just can't simply put all my faith in him and back him because he's not going anywhere with Chelsea. And that's the thing. People need to accept now that Chelsea, if we don't get top 4, he's going to stay. You know, that's what Bowley said already. So it's dark times.
He will definitely stay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's going to stay even if we don't get top 4. So I don't know what people are waiting for. We're not going to win the Champions League or the Premier League anytime soon now. Tuchel, I believe he was our only hope in maybe getting somewhere in the Premier League. You know, so it's not good. It's not good at all. And I guess people say Potter, he's played a good football at Brighton, which I do agree with. He got the best out of an average bunch, but now it's a different kind of ball game, you know. So it's very easy to say, "Oh, Potter played good football at Brighton. He's gonna do even better at Chelsea because he's got a better set of players." But it doesn't work like that. There's so many things in managerial, like talking about managing these big names, people that maybe when he's got some bad results, they might not respect him, you know. And we've seen this happen to a lot of managers. People like Ole, you know, who kind of lose their respect from players because these players are very, very established. Players like Thiago Silva, who'll be gone soon, but they've won it all. You know, what do they have to say from Potter telling them what to do when he's not done anything in his career? You know, so it's a strong opinion right now. I guess he's only been there for one game, and I should really be getting behind him, but I just can't really see the positivity and the direction right now. I don't believe Potter. He's not the answer at all.
So Dan, what do you think about that? Do you think Potter is the answer? Or...
Whether Potter the answer is or not, I'm not sure. I like him as a coach. I think he's a good coach. I think he's done a very, very good job at Brighton, but I think, like Carl said, Brighton and Chelsea are two very different environments. I think it is very, very, very early to judge him right now.
Yeah.
Like he's not even had like a transfer window of himself. So I think he's kind of just working with the players that he's got. But I do agree with Carl. I think it's a very questionable decision to sack Tuchel, especially after spending 200+ million. Because like for me, you have to question his thinking because either you had this premonition that you were going to sack Tuchel, which if you had that premonition, why would you spend £200 million and back him? Or you didn't have that premonition that you were going to sack him, and that means that you're just doing it in a very reactionary way, which is also not a very good sign. So I don't know what the kind of expectation is for Chelsea because, I mean, like Carl touched on, Bowley said that Potter's not going to be sacked if he doesn't get top 4, which, I mean, it kind of goes without saying because he's only got the job kind of at the beginning of the season. But it doesn't kind of set a really exciting and optimistic kind of view for Chelsea for the rest of the season. So I think this season they're kind of in the same boat as Man United in terms of they just need to kind of see what happens and hope for the best, to be honest.
What about you,
Benji? With Chelsea, Ted Lasso, man, what's he doing? Ted Lasso, like he thinks it's him. He thinks it's Abramovich. He thinks it's Roman. Like you're not that guy, pal. I don't know what on earth that Tuchel sacking was about. I understand the performances were poor, but like Carl Dan said, like sacking our manager after spending almost, what was it, 300 million? Or am I wrong?
Yeah,
300
300.
million.
Yeah.
I'm buying like a dumb amount of centre backs as well. It's just so silly. Like the issue is not even about the money that was being spent. It's about the fact that it's about the signings that were made. Like we all know that Tuchel had a centre back fetish. Let's be honest. And now you're gonna hand over that squad to Graham Potter. It's not. It doesn't make any sense. His excuse was like they had differences in the direction of the club. For like Bowley wants to Americanize the club, do all that PR nonsense. Just Tuchel's just a footballing man. I heard like there was issues about the Ronaldo, because obviously Tuchel didn't want Ronaldo for I wouldn't say obvious, but for reasons like he's old. Don't want an old Adrian striker in a project in which you're trying to rebuild a club. Well, from Chelsea's perspective anyway. And obviously, Bowley wanted Ronaldo because of the globalization of him, the PR behind it, and all that. But it just reeks of the stinky Americanness that's like leaking into the game. Like it's just same thing with the Glazers. Like it just stinks of Glazeronomics. Like it's just it's a shame to see it happen to Chelsea. I see him coming talking about how we need an All-Star game and like all that. He might be right, but I don't want to hear it from his mouth.
You don't want to see an All-Star game. Why you can't?
Yeah, but the things I don't like the way he tried to propose it. Like
he's doing too much. He's doing too much. He's
having dinners with the other owners and stuff.
Exactly. He's like, bro, he's running around like his park or something. Like he thinks he's too much. He's running around like he's just everywhere, bro. Like, I don't know. He's running around like a headless chicken, trying to get transfer deals done. Like he's in Milan trying to convince someone to come here. He's in Italy. He's in Spain trying to convince. Like he thinks it's. I don't know what's going on with Chelsea, but bro, exactly. He doesn't realize Roman was just chilling, smoking a Cuban cigar, calling the shots. It's like. Roman had everything patterned. Like they'll never be. You cannot replace him. But this Bowley guy, I don't know about him, man.
Strange character.
But with the appointment of Potter, I feel like it's a project. They can't be expecting him to come in and for it to bank because of it's going to take time. Potter's a very good manager. I don't know if Chelsea per se was the right fit for him. I don't think. When I think of Graham Potter and his career progression, obviously we've talked a lot about him on the podcast. I don't think anyone here really expected Chelsea to be his next step. So it's an interesting one. But I feel like they just have to give him time and see what happens. But Chelsea is a bit of a issue at the moment. We'll see what he does though.
Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see. But Ori, I know you like Potter, but I know you don't think of him that highly, but
I do. I just think like pulling my language here, but I just think like Bowley is kind of looking for like a bitch. Pulling my language, but like Tuchel was never going to be that guy that like Bowley wanted. Like Tuchel is like a very experienced coach, very experienced manager, has a lot of experience, who's dealt with players like, Neymar, stuff like that, who has like a lot of, he's kind of like a guy who knows what he wants, kind of knows how he's trying to get for here. Like, and he thinks, okay, I'm the coach, I'm the manager, like I should be able to make decisions to directly benefit like my team or, how I wanted to look essentially. Abramovich got that. And like Carl said, like Denzel said, Abramovich is always ready to like kind of step out of the way to some extent and kind of let, the people who know football do football or like, work in the footballing aspect. But yeah, I think Todd is just like, he looks like a guy who just wants to be way too involved. And for someone who doesn't like, know literally anything about the game, that's just kind of a huge red flag, really. So he kind of brought in Potter and looking at like Potter's CV, like, okay, he's a good coach. Yes, Potter is a very good coach. Tactically, he's sound, but like he's also looking at, okay, someone who's best, like the best team he's managed is essentially Brighton. Like someone who kind of sees the Chelsea job as kind of like a gift, kind of like, okay, like, I'm kind of blessed to be in this position kind of thing. So to take advantage of that and be like, okay, so like he kind of wants to boss like Potter around, kind of like he's obviously going to disguise that as like tactics and like clear footballing, like, mind and stuff. But at the same time, like, there are going to be signings that Potter wants to bring in. They're going to be like ideas that Potter has that Bowley is not really going to back. And like Potter is just kind of just happy to be in the job anyway. So like he's not going to be like a really outspoken guy. He's not going to be, from what I've seen, basically, he might switch up now that he's in the role and stuff like that. But he just doesn't like look to me as the guy who's really going to like complain too much or kind of like disrupt the balance or kind of do what he wants solely. Kind of looks like he would kind of be listening to Todd more and stuff, which isn't really good. But on the footballing side, he knows the game. I feel he can, like, if he has his target that he wants to bring in, if he can kind of just like revolutionize the squad, I feel like they would, be on the rise. But like Carl said, it's kind of just hard to kind of like see that bit, especially it's not really Chelsea's like style as well. I know like they're like trying to do the whole project thing now, but like Tuchel is a better manager than Potter, no matter which way you look at it, in my opinion. Like, yeah, you can think like Potter maybe has a more tactically sound, like, outlook on football, but like a lot of things going to being a good coach, being a good manager, stuff like that. Like Potter is probably nowhere near winning the Champions League with Chelsea in the same manner that Tuchel did. Like, just doesn't seem to have that ruthlessness. And that was another thing that I actually criticized him about when he was in Brighton. I know like the whole XG thing was against him and stuff like that, but at the same time, like he just didn't seem like a really like a ruthless guy. Like he wasn't like ready to like, I don't know, maybe like drop the right players and stuff like that. But he just kept on being a very like a common recurring theme that just seems like he just kind of seems like he wants to just let the footballing do the talking and not like have any involvement regarding like any of the players and stuff like that. And to me, like, you can't be just a good coach, you kind of have to be a good manager as well. Like that's kind of how to get into the top. So he's going to kind of have to learn all of that on the job, like find himself, rediscover all of that. And do Chelsea don't really, I don't know, they don't strike me as a club that has time for that. But yeah, because like I'll say, it might be a long time before like they start looking like a real proper side. But I guess we just have to see for now. But interesting.
Bro, we've been going on for nearly hour and 40 minutes.
I think like
It's nice to be back, man. It's nice to be back. Is there any other topics that we want to discuss? Any? Because we've been gone for a while.
No, it is. We've got a lot in future. There's a lot coming up. We got the World Cup coming up.
Xavi's cooking something. Xavi's cooking something in Barcelona. He's cooking something. Something about Spaniard, Spaniard coaches, like especially in Spain. I think like their whole outlook on football in Spain is just so insane. Like how they kind of like bought up and how they kind of like understand football from like a grassroots level is so much different to like England, especially. That's why like an English manager has never won like
the Prem,
won Prem,
yeah. Potter soon come.
Like,
not sure about that one.
Potter's like the first, that's why like everyone is so excited and gassed about Potter. That's why they're like tipping him for the England job too, because like he's probably the first guy in a long time from England he kind of looks like a guy who like kind of understands the game a bit. But yeah,
respect Sean Dyche, man. Respect Sean Dyche.
Yeah, Dyche can do his thing.
What guy?
Yeah, I mean,
or you said Xavi's cooking.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what he's cooking up. He's cooking up depth. Like Barcelona and the minuses. That's what he's cooking up.
Oh, yeah, they're top of the league.
By that club. Yeah, I know, but no, I'm talking about financially. They're in the trenches there. So
you know what? But you know what Ori said.
We'll see what happens.
What?
But you know what Ori said is something that I have been like recently is about how the cultural differences in different countries. Obviously, Spain's a lot more about the technical side, holding possession and stuff like that. I feel like Spain, they've been influenced by Holland as well. Total football. There's
of
that
course,
sort of
sort
of merging in that. I look at Germany. Germany's a bit more efficient, if you get what I'm saying. They're not very extravagant, but they like to do the basics.
But that's kind of like that's kind of tied into like the culture of the country in general. Like Germany's kind of known for being a very efficient country and Spain is kind of in that sort of, I don't know how to describe it, but more kind of not
Flexible.
flamboyant. You know what I mean?
I'll say flamboyant.
Yeah.
No, Spain aren't flamboyant like that. Like
Yeah.
France is flamboyant. France is a flamboyant country.
Yeah.
But
I'd always say Brazil are definitely the best footballing country in terms of like how they are just brought up. Like it's just insane. I think
It's pure,
not even from like a total like total football kind of way, but like just in the way like they like how they start playing football so early and like how they're just so gifted like technically and all of that. Like I think it's really there's a reason why they have like the most World Cups. Obviously, like they breed monsters basically. Like no matter which way, every generation there would always be Brazilians that just are kind of just that technically gifted and stuff like that. So yeah, good on them, good country.
And then you got England. England's more focused on obviously physicality, pace.
Brexit, bro.
But that's the thing. It can work, though. I think people disrespect England a bit too. England are arrogant. They got too much arrogance. But that's England.
The media, like the arrogance and everything, comes into how because generally being honest though, they actually like England grassroots like technicality is definitely a huge like.
It's not as huge. I don't think.
I think there's more focus on PMP at grassroots level than technical ability. Like if you go and look at the academies of any club in this country, it's dominated by people who are oversized for their age and quick for their age. There's not many like diminutive players that are very technically good.
I think it's changing though.
I hope so, but
I think it is changing. Like even with teams, you're starting to see even in the centre back position. Before they would just slap anyone who was tall and could defend, but now you need to be technical. You need to have technical ability to be able to be a defender in the Premier League. So I feel like it is shifting because I don't know where it was. I watched something where they were talking about how academy scout players before it was a certain way, but now you have to be able to play the ball from the back and be technically gifted to be like a starting centre back at a Premier League club. So
and this was another thing I was looking at academies. Yeah, I don't like how academy scout players from so young. I don't like it. I feel like it should start from maybe teenage years that you start to get scouted. But man, already playing for Chelsea at like 10. Like,
it's because they seem to believe that they actually generally have the technical talent at that age. Like apparently people can generally like spot things from like 7, 8 years old. There's something that they can see that I guess
football is one of the biggest businesses in the world. So like it's probably even going to get worse than you're even talking about now. Like in the next how many years, like people will be scouting players at like 4 years, like 5. Like it's going to reach a point where like the amount of money that goes into the sports is just so insane that like immediately people give birth to children, like they're already immediately training them into how to be like.
I'm gonna do that though.
I'm doing that too.
I'm doing that.
I mean, like, all of us are going to do that. Literally, like it's kind of like the biggest cash grab in the world right now. Like if you just have even like there's someone who's like technically gifted to level, and like the amount of football players they are, and the fact that like you don't even have to be the Messi of the world, you don't even have to be the Ronaldo, you just have to be like even Mason Mount. And you can be earning like a decent amount of like money, like an incredible amount of money. So like it's kind of like almost anyone can make it in a kind of way, like if the right training and everything. At the end of the day, it does go like down to like only a couple players do make it professionally. And like I always say, as much as like we slander like pro footballers and stuff like that, like the level at which they play at is so insane. Like if you bring like people always like, even if someone like IU, if you bring someone like IU to like, if we play a 5-a-side match with IU, like all of us in here, like
you're not getting the ball because it's hogging it.
It's like like the level at which they play at is so high that like like even the bad players at the highest level, like they're incredibly good in terms of like what they can do with ball. Because to even make it pro, it's like it's a really, really slim chance. Because like millions of people around the world, if not like billions, actually, are trying to go like play professional football. Crazy.
Yeah, T fair, like Mount and James, like they joined Chelsea at like 6 years old. Like fair enough. It's crazy.
That's crazy, by the way, because what are you doing at 5 to set yourself apart from?
Set yourself apart from and you have players who like they realize that they can't even like make it as like strikers and stuff because like you have players switching positions at like 7 just because like they're trying to like make it into like it's so insane. Like the culture around like
involved as well.
Sorry.
Hella nepotism involved as well.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Frankie
I
Lampard.
don't know if I think it was Declan Rice.
Frankie
Who said
Lampard.
that he never
Lampard.
played for a football club, but his uncle was a scout at Chelsea and said to them like, "Can my nephew come and play for you?" And that's how he got in the academy.
What?
Yeah,
That is
yeah, there's a lot of nepotism involved for sure. But yeah, like one thing, there would always be that player that just kind of like, you know, you can still get from like you know, the ghetto basically. Like a lot of Brazilians make it from there really because they eat football for breakfast really, and like a lot of them are really trying. It's such a big country though, and like I always just wonder, like, imagine how many ballers are actually like, you know, hidden in Brazil and stuff like that, or like it must be insane really, like.
But they've tapped into the scouting system. Like even foreign scouts will fly their
Yeah,
scouts from Europe to Brazil. So
really
I feel like
the
there's a lot of
to
gems
see
getting
the unknown borders.
Exactly.
And you said about foreign scouts. I know it sounds like I'm just ranting now, but it's like, you know, when I'm seeing clubs are trying to do like the Man City thing where they're trying to have multiple clubs. I don't like that as well. Like, I know
franchising football, innit?
It's a food chain, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I do understand it, but because I understand it from a business perspective as well. But I don't know, morally, it's just like you're just trying to take all their young talents. If they're good, yeah. If they're not, you just keep you on the bench.
Well, it's an exchange. Is you can view it as an equal exchange though, because they're kind of giving back to their affiliate clubs, And the only reason I know this is because from Football Manager. But if you're a smaller club and an affiliate, you'll get financial bonuses for being a smaller club.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I hear that. But yeah, anything else? Anything else we want to discuss? Well, I think that's it. You know? So yeah, you guys know what to do. Like, comment, and subscribe. Share with your people. And, you know, we're back again. Seriously now. So let's try and get to 100 subs by the end of the year. How many? What's 2 months left? Wow. But yeah, let's try and get to 100 subs by the end of the year. So to do that, you know, share it with your people. But yeah, man, it's a pleasure being back. Back again next week. But yeah, man, you man stay blessed. Peace.